No, different white supremacists. White supremacists are very skilled, very adaptable, the most sophisticated ones. They know the white code. So they say, okay, here comes the black guy who, works down on the dock and whatnot, and he likes hip hop. So, okay, so I'll learn a little bit about hip hop, and so that way I can talk to him a little bit about him. He'll be relaxed and whatnot, and then I can talk to him about other things that I want him to do that'll fit me, okay? So they'll do that. See, the white supremacists, they are masters of psychology. I mean, they're the best psychologists in the world. They know how the mind works. They know how to make a black person laugh. They know how to make them cry. They know how to make them sad. They know how to do all of this. Why? Because they spend full time studying us. All right? We don't spend any time studying them. We spend full time studying us.
Yeah.
That's why we don't really learn anything about the world that we are, the real world, and who runs it that we are in. Because we spend all our time watching each other. One slave at the bottom of the ship watching the other slave at the bottom of the ship. Now, how much are you going to learn from that? Except how to have contempt for people who are enslaved, which is what we do. And that's why we go at each other every chance we get.
Yes, sir.
All right. We're down at the bottom of the ship hitting each other with our chains.
Okay.
We are chained now to the ship, the slave ship. That hasn't changed. So we spend our time doing what? Fighting each other in the bottom of the ship. And every now and then the captain of the ship or the sailors in charge, whatnot, white, they come down and splash water on us or something, turn the hose on us on them if they got one sophisticated that, and break up the fight, so that they can get some sleep. Because that's all it is. They don't care about us. I mean, just break up the fight so we can get some sleep. You're disturbing us. You dark people, you slaves and whatnot. The captain has to get his rest. The captain can't put up with all that noise that you sometimes make. They don't mind you fighting each other as long as you don't kill each other, because we got to use you. Okay? We'll let a few of you die. I mean, that goes with the trade. That's part of the business. But that's basically what it's all about. Well, I have been saying, and I'll reiterate it, if you can't guarantee that people are going to have constructive intentions, anytime you go anywhere, everyone who is on the scene, particularly where it comes to black people, because we are all been loaded with poison. We have to realize that. We have a certain amount of hostility toward each other. We have to recognize that. You can get on a bus and you can almost feel the hostility if that bus is crowded with black people. I mean, you can just feel it. You can just feel that, that there's vibes. It's not harmonious at all. It's not pleasant at all. I mean, when you get where you're going, you're anxious to get off of there. I mean, you can just feel something, even with no one saying anything, because there's all this hostility. The way you can see it in people's eyes, you can see it in their body language and whatnot. And this has always been, going back, I'll say, starting with right after World War II in particular. Because before World War II, you had the signs up in a lot of places. Rear seat for colored. White section only. And so that kept black people kind of on their toes and a little bit of affinity for each other, because even when they got on a bus, they were reminded that they were nothing, that you are nobody. Get to the back and don't step on any white people's feet on your way there, or you just might be dead. That's how you might spend your morning in the morgue. So you understand that, you boys and girls. You boys and gals, you nothing people, you Negroes. You shouldn't even be on the bus. You should be honored to even get on the same bus with white people. So that kept black people kind of looking at each other and saying, well, maybe we should have a little bit of affinity for each other, rather than nowadays when the signs are down and have long been down, we got on a bus with complete hostility, total hostility. We ought to think about that. Someone says good morning to you. I mean, you look around, as if to say, what you saying good morning to me for? I mean, might be a good morning for you. It ain't no good morning for me. You don't know nothing about my life. I'll cut your throat. But that type of hostility, in their minds at least. They know who they are. We know who we are. We know we're like that. And we ought to stop it. I'm de-emphasizing the cult of personality. We've got to get away from this thing of Neely Fuller as some kind of leader. Neely Fuller is just a spokesperson for, hopefully, logic. I'm trying to get everyone to tap into logic. Like I sometimes use the character in Casablanca, the movie Casablanca, a real old movie that's kind of boring, really, to most people. But he's an individual.
Okay.
With everything against him. I wrote my book for the individual person who nobody will speak up for. In other words, you look around, you got nobody will help you.
Okay.
You don't have gang members, you don't have anybody. You're always alone. You're always alone. So I wrote a book for the person who's always alone. You got to figure out everything for yourself every day.
Every day. Okay.
Black people around you are not going to help you do nothing. That's the position you should take. All right? On the job and everywhere else.
Okay.
They're not going to back you up on nothing. You are alone. Okay? So I wrote a book for the person who is 100% alone. And how do you function when you're 100% alone and all you got is yourself and whatever the Creator helps you do through logic? The system of white supremacy is a poisonous system. Very poisonous. Lethal. All right? Wipes out people. I mean, distorts people, messes people up, makes zombies out of people, the walking dead. That's what the system of white supremacy does. It's extremely powerful, all right? And it's wicked, okay? And it is supreme. It's got a bigger grip on the minds of the people of this planet than any other system ever invented in the minds of people. No religion is more powerful than the religion of white supremacy. And that's been proven over and over again. And no political system. I don't care, people talk about capitalism, socialism, communism. The white supremacists are superior to all of that. Why? Because they are all of that. The white supremacists are the most powerful capitalists that the world has ever seen. They're the most powerful communists. They have more in common with each other than the world has ever seen. Just think of the word communism. It just means in common, that's all. You have in common with another person. The white supremacists have more in common with each other than they have with anybody. And they don't need to be in common with anybody else other than themselves. And that has made them extremely the most powerful communists and the most powerful capitalists and the most powerful socialists. They socialize with each other in such a way that they are more powerful than everybody else who socializes with themselves. Black people socialize, but their socializing doesn't mean nothing compared to the socializing that the white supremacists do. See, when you pay attention to words and what they really mean, and that's why you have a word guide.
Yes, sir.
Also in the textbook, I explain what a lot of words mean and what words to look for. See, we get all tied up in knots about what is socialism, what is communism, what is capitalism, should you be for it or against it and whatnot. And the white supremacists say, hey, I don't care if you're for it, against it, or whatever. If you're a person of color, you come under me. I don't care what you call yourself. And I don't care what religion you call yourself. You come under me. And if you don't believe it, try me. I mean, like 5 minutes I can tell you. And in 6 minutes I can show you. Okay? And every non-white person on the planet understands that. All right? Now, we argue with ourselves about whether the white supremacists exist or not. But when the white supremacists come around, I notice nobody argues with them. about whether there is such a thing as white supremacy. I've seen that put to a test over and over again. Black people argue themselves. Fuller, that white supremacy ain't nothing to that, man. You talking all that garbage and whatnot. Man, you've been so brainwashed. I mean, you one of them old back-of-the-bus Negroes from way back. Man, you can't keep up with the times. I mean, ain't no such thing as that. And then one white supremacist will show up, and the whole atmosphere changes. Now, let's nail this down right quick. The white supremacists will say anything.
Okay.
See what I mean? That's part of their deception. And I'm not going to name any names, but one very, people who say that he's a white supremacist, who is now in a very, very prominent position. What is he kind of known for, according to what people say in the news every day? They say he'll say anything.
Okay, I know you're talking about, yeah.
I'm not going to mention no names.
I got you.
Because, but I think you can figure it out.
Yes, sir.
I mean, but if a person is a white supremacist will say anything. And when they're saying that, they look over their shoulder at the other white supremacists, and they both wink at each other.
They wink.
Yeah, they wink at each other, and they say, these black people, they think that we got certain things that we won't say. We'll say anything that will work. That's the magic of being able to have power and to be able to say anything and have people nod, because you're already in power. They know that. So when you say something, they say that whatever you say must be right on point. No? I mean, in other words, the white supremacists are the greatest truth tellers on the planet.
Okay.
Why? Because they know more about the truth. The truth is just that which is than anybody. And they are the greatest people when it comes to lying. White males have always mistreated all females and taught black males and encouraged black males to mistreat black females. All right? So females all over the planet, all of the females all over the planet have been grossly, horrendously mistreated and are being mistreated even as we speak. I mean, that mistreatment is not isolated, whatnot. It's just people just mention it every now and then. But it's 24/7. It goes with the system of government that we have, the world government. That it's okay to mistreat females, whether you're white or non-white, except if you're non-white, you better be very careful about mistreating a white female, all right? Now you can get into serious trouble. But for a white male to mistreat a white female, that's considered okay among the white supremacists themselves. I mean, that's almost like a handshake deal.
Wow.
And they have always done that. All right? At the same time, they will glorify them, all right, when it comes to other people. But when in the house themselves, they will kick that black female around, that white female around. White men will do that.
Yes,
People
sir.
who have worked in white people's houses have found that out. Particularly back in the old days when
Yes,
you
sir.
had a lot of maids.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes the maid has to come to the rescue of the lady of the house, you might say.
Wow.
And say, Mr. So-and-so, you shouldn't talk to her like that. I mean, she didn't do nothing. She didn't mean no harm and all like that. I mean, the black maid has to intervene in order to help the white female out.
Yes.
Or something. But then, on the other hand, the white female is also considering herself a part of the establishment, like in the slave plantation. The white female was abused by the white male, but if the black servant, the black female, who is the maid in the house, even talked back to the lady of the house. Now, wait a minute. All right, who's in charge here?
Okay.
And say, well, Miss Alice, I stood up for you yesterday when Mr. George was talking to you in an abusive fashion, and now you're talking talking to me in an abusive fashion, say, yeah, but you're the maid.
Wow.
You are a Negro. You are a subordinate.
Yes.
You have nothing to do with the royal family's arguments.
Yes.
Don't get it mixed up, Hattie. All right? Don't get it mixed up. You are still a subordinate in our house. I mean, hey, it's one thing, in the system of white supremacy, the white supremacists always let black people know, I'm not only in charge of you.
Yes.
In charge of everything that you claim is yours, including what you say is your woman.
Yeah.
Negro boy. You
Yeah.
say you got a wife, you ain't got nothing except what I say you have. You don't have a wife, you don't have children, you don't have anything. Why? Because I got you.
Wow.
All right?
Yeah.
And don't you ever forget it. I can have your wife in bed with me anytime I want to, and your daughters by your wife. And you know it, and I know it, but you turn a blind eye to it because you know you better.
Yeah.
All right? And that's always been. And that's true in 2017 all over the world.
Yes, sir.
The white supremacists control all of the affairs of people who they classify as non-white on this planet
Period.
called Earth. Period. In all 9 areas of activity. Absolute control, not partial control, not slipshod control, not control maybe on a Tuesday, but not exactly on a Wednesday. Oh, no. It's absolute. All of the time. Nothing happens that's going to go anywhere without their approval. That's why you have to replace the entire system. You can't peck away at it. You can't say, well, I'll move a few chairs around in the prison camp. Well, yeah, you can move a few chairs around in the prison camp, but you're still in the prison camp. Okay?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. You can have a trustee in the prison camp.
But you're still in the prison camp.
But you're still in the prison camp. And that's what black people are at the highest level. We're trustees. You work in the warden's office like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption.
But you're still in the prison camp.
But you're still in the prison camp. You're still a prisoner. And every now and then, some black people tend to forget that. And the white supremacists always let them know. Oh, just because you have that title, you got to remember, boy, I gave you that title.
So you can be president.
You don't have a title of your own. You just have a title.
Okay.
You are beholden to me. Every move that you make has to be approved by me. And if you make one that's not approved by me, you will feel the sting from me. And they have proven this all over the world. All of the so-called presidents of African countries, these are not really countries. These are just titles that people have. The white supremacists will determine whether they eat or not. All right? Not to say anything about whether their people will have anything or not. The white supremacists determine whether or not they'll breathe. I mean, through the rest of this day. Pick any, non-white person on the planet and say what their title is and how much of a big army they have and all like that. And the white supremacist says, yeah, I don't care who he or she is. If they are classified as non-white, they can have a sudden heart attack and don't know how it happened. But I know how it happened because I did it. We know how to do things. We know how to eliminate people. I don't care how many guards they got. We control the air that people breathe. All right? Put that in your pipe and smoke it, boy. We control the air that you breathe, and we can cut that air off at any time. You don't believe it? Try us. Because a lot of you have tried thinking that you were the head of something. That you are now out of my jurisdiction. Any black person anywhere on this planet that has a so-called big title knows who their boss is if they tell the truth. And that boss is always somebody classified as white.
Please, motherfucker! I ain't no black.
But then you have a huge number of white people who say, yes, let's keep it, but let's make it look like it's not what it is. And let's stay on that course. Let's be deceptive. Let's be hypocritical. Let's all get on the hypocritical wagon. Let's all smile when we're in pain and keep up the front. That's the best way of the future, because we'll have more stability that way and less unrest. Keep these black people confused and robotized and walking around not knowing what to do and what not, or what's going. Keep them ignorant so that they don't even know what's going on or who's running things and really don't even care too much. Keep them in that state of mind. Because if we do it the old-fashioned way of just letting them know that, hey, white supremacy is here to stay forever, then they'll be angry and upset and we'll have more problems. Yes, black people knew. Black people know that they want something different from what they're used to. They don't know too much about what it is, but they do know that they want something different in all areas of activity. They certainly want more money and a roof over their heads and what they would call a better life without being able to define what that would mean, because black people have never been put in a situation where they had a whole lot of leeway for making these decisions. Decisions were always made for the victims of racism. The victims of racism have been in prison, just like people have been in prison for like forever. If you give them a little leeway and say, okay, well, you can go out into the prison yard now where you've been locked and confined to a cell. I mean, they say, okay, well, I can go out in the prison yard. Yeah, I'm with that. That's something different. I'll do anything that's different from what I'm doing, because I definitely don't like what I'm doing now. And so let me out into the prison yard. But I have a question. Once I get into the prison yard, what do I do out there? I mean, give me something. Give me a value system. Give me something, that I think that makes sense, or something. Even if it doesn't make sense, just give me something different, because I'm tired of doing what I'm doing. Now, I think that's the state of mind that black people have always been in, for the most part, because we've never been allowed to be in any other state of mind. Just give me something different. We don't care what it is. Let's all smile when we're in pain. The white supremacists, they manufacture hatred, because you have to do that. And you have, if you're going to dominate people and then mistreat them based on that domination and say that these people are eligible. You do admit that the people are really people, but you say they are a breed of people who are eligible to be mistreated. So you have to teach that to your offspring systematically. Over a period of time, you drum that into their heads over and over again. And you even drum that into the heads of the people that you're going to mistreat. You teach them, look at yourself in the mirror. You are nothing. You are nothing. You are nothing. You are something to be despised. Anything that looks like you, including your mother and your father and your neighbors, if it looks like you and it's moving around on this planet, you should despise it. Why? Because it is worthy of being despised. Why? Because it is dark. That's why. And anything in the form of a person that has dark skin should be despised. Say amen, boy. Say amen, girl, behind what I just told you. Anything that looks like it might be, just might be, in the form of a person, but that person has dark skin. The darker, the more that person or that thing that looks like a person is supposed to be despised. And by it being despised, you let it exist, but you let it exist with the understanding that it's supposed to be mistreated. If you tell it to do something and it doesn't do it, and it begins to run away from you, you shoot it. It's It's a thing. It's even something that you can't even describe as being on the level of a dog. Because after all, I mean, you know, a dog does have some type of proportionate something that you can value. But this thing in the form of a person that you call a black person, you don't know what that is, except it's something you're supposed to if you are classified as white. And even if you're classified as black, you are supposed to despise that thing and not only express it in words every now and then, not so much in the modern days, but you certainly express it in your actions toward it. Put it last on your list of things that are supposed to be given any kind of constructive consideration. And this is the society that we're in, worldwide. And that's another thing. Stop talking about in the Northwestern Hemisphere. This is worldwide, always has been. White supremacy is everywhere. There's no place you can go where it doesn't reign supreme. That's what it means by supreme. That's everywhere, in every area of activity. Economics, they control it. If there's any people of color calling themselves having some kind of economic system that's not subject to the white supremacists, you're fooling yourself. Education, they hoard all the knowledge and have you come to them to get it. They have it set up like that. And they tell you how much of it you can get. And not only that, if you're a person of color, they tell you what you can use it for and what you better not use it for. And they got the muscle to back it up. And then that's economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And if you have color in your skin, they dominate your movements in all of these areas of activity, truth be told. Absolutely, and they do it even at the what we call the lowest level. They'll tell you that you are now a high school graduate. You say, well, how am I a high school graduate? Because I said so, and here's a piece of paper that I made out 15 minutes ago, and I put your name on it, and I'm giving it to you. Because I'm the one who determines what people know and what they don't know. I'm the God here. So I'm saying that you know these things. And so you take the piece of paper and you look at it and you say, now, okay, that's nice. It sure is pretty. You know, it looks good. Got my name on it too. Say, okay, I gave you the piece of paper saying that you now have a degree of knowledge that I have given you. And I put your name on it that I have given you. And you say, okay, now what can I do with this? I'll talk to you about that later. Well, what do I do in the meantime? Just try to stay out of trouble. That I'm going to see to it that you get in. But you go over there to this building or that building and get in line, and we might have something for you. Depends on how I feel by the time you get there. By the time you get over there in my brother's place. Because you can't do nothing with that piece of paper except what we say that you will do with it. And you ought to know that by now. since we orchestrate everything that you do. So when black people start talking about, well, I mean, where did Neely Fuller get his degree in fighting racism? You tell them that he doesn't have one, and nobody else has either. That's why I tell black people, just to make yourself feel good, don't pump yourself up on a lie. Don't go around talking about, that you don't believe, because you say you don't believe in white supremacy, that, that white supremacists don't tell you what to do, and you walking around on this planet as black as can be and saying that the white supremacists don't tell you what to do. I run my own business. They don't run my business. I run my own business. Well, stop and think. Stop and think and ask yourself, are you really telling the truth? No, these people don't tell me what to do. That's why I'm where I am today. Well, where are you today? If you're black and anywhere on this planet, exactly where are you today? Anywhere on this planet, if you're not under the system of white supremacy. That's the question. I started off this program like I start off and continue in all programs because it's a scientific fact. All problems are solved through the process of what? Questions and answers. So when a black person says, no white supremacists tell me what to do, oh, then the question is, does anybody tell you what to do, ever? And if so, who, when, where? And then go through the 9 areas of activity. Does anybody tell you what to do in economics? Does anybody tell you what to do and what you better not do in education? Does anybody tell you what to do and what not to do in entertainment, in labor, in law, in politics, in religion, in sex, in war? And if the answer you give me, and you're black, is that nobody tells me what to do. I'm my own boss. I got my own business and everything. You need to stop and think about what you're actually saying. Well, Haiti is on the list of what's supposed to be. Haiti, the people who are called Haitians, predominantly are people who are classified as non-white, but they're not supposed to ever have anything under the system of white supremacy except punishment for being arrogant enough under Toussaint to think that you, with your military skills, can take us over or tell us what to do. So many a historian has said that the reason Haiti is in the shape that it's in now, and sort of like the head wagging people of the world, you might say, everybody kind of looks on them with great pity. It's because the white supremacists made that decision. We're going to make examples of you. Don't you ever think that you can have military force against me, us white supremacists of the world. And we're going to make a perennial example of you up until the point we decide that we're not going to make that example. But you're going to be in poverty. You're going to be pitiful. You're going to be beggars of the first order. You're going to be dislocated trying to find a place to go because you can't stand being where you are, because I'm going to see to it that where you are will never be anything until I decide that you're going to be something.
That's like putting a vice grip on somebody.
Yes, and that's, they're letting the dark people of the entire world know, hey, you want to get in my face, look at Haiti. That's what's going to happen to you.
It's going to happen.
Now get out of my face. You can be comfortable in a prison, which is what the white supremacists have made the world for people of color, a prison. They've made the entire planet a prison that they run. And what happens in a prison? You assign people their bunks, where they eat, where they're going to get their food, where they can be at any given time. You just can't be any place. You got to get, if you have color in your skin, you got to get permission from those white people. Not all white people, I'm saying, but those white people who believe in white supremacy, they're the ones who are running things. So they tell a person, black, brown, red, yellow, beige, tan, anybody who has color in his or her skin, they say where you can be on this planet. They say, you can't come here. You can't go there. You better not cross that river. You didn't get my permission. Boy, girl, gal, you didn't get my permission. Get my permission before you cross that river, before you cross that ocean, before you come in my ocean, or before you violate my airspace. You better not borrow a plane or nothing like that and fly in my airspace without my permission. I tell you people of color where you can go. If you want to trade with somebody, even one of your cousins, I mean, on a distant island somewhere, you better get my permission before you take off, because I will stop you on the high seas. You're on my ocean. This is my ocean. I don't care where the ocean is. It's mine. You get my permission. Yes, the white supremacists do this in all 9 areas of activity all of the time.
Okay.
See, in other words, the way to confuse people is to lead them to have questions with no answers. That's what confusion is. Lots of questions with no answers. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? What are those people doing over there? Why are they doing it? And all like that.
I see.
Well, in all the areas of activity, the white supremacists say, keep those dark-skinned people confused.
So,
and that way, confusion brings on what? Frustration. Oh, you improve your self-esteem by doing things that work. This is what self-esteem comes from. Doing things that work, and work in a comfortable, fashion. In other words, you get comfort from it. And your self-esteem automatically is being built on you doing things and saying things that work for you. That's what self-esteem is. Doesn't work against you. Your self-esteem starts disappearing when you're doing things that are working against you. I mean, it just starts slowly easing away from you so that you don't have any left. But all so-called self-esteem comes from you know what to do, you know how to solve problems. See, basically that's it, problem solving. And that's where self-esteem comes from. When you get to the place you have a whole lot of problems, you don't know how to solve them, your self-esteem goes, and then you just start doing any kind of old thing. Just start lashing out at anything because you're frustrated. Confusion brings about frustration. Frustration brings about all kinds of chaos. And the chaos brings about all kinds of conflict if you're around other people. Because you'll just lash out at everybody and then eventually lash out against yourself. I mean, what you're doing when you really just lash out at anybody and everybody with no particular reason for doing so, which is what black people do a lot of. That's why we are very toxic when we're around each other. We're frustrated, we're confused, we're angry, and we're going to take it out on somebody. We don't want to keep just hitting ourselves upside the head all day long, so we hit somebody else upside the head. Why? Because they look like us. And so since we're the ones that are confused, we want to lash out at anything that looks like the person that's confused.
Yes, sir.
So the person that looks like me is me. So since I'm not looking in a mirror all day long, and I'm angry with myself because I can't figure out what to do with myself, so I will pick out somebody that looks like me. This is the way it works. And I will lash out at that person. Might even kill them.
Wow.
What you looking at me for? Oh, you see my weaknesses. You see I'm confused. You see that I don't know what I'm doing. You think that I'm not a man. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. That's what I'll do with you. I'll take care of that. Meaning, I'm shooting myself. Because when I see them, I see myself. Because they are weak also. And they, black people expose each other's weaknesses and then get mad about it.
And then get mad about it. And then don't stand.
That is the reason we slaughter each other. And so the white supremacists will run that through the computer. Well, yesterday we had 18 classifications of sexuality that we're going to spread among the black people to improve their conditions. And you say, okay, what's the projection for next year? Well, we got 18 now. Next year the projection is 52. 52 different types of sexuality to choose from for you black people. And you say, well, why are you doing this, sir? Well, it's going to improve things for you. You black people want to be improved, don't you? All right. Well, get on board with this. Listen to me. All right. You need to diversify your sexuality. I mean, there's something incorrect. Your sexuality is too limited. You talk about some male-female mess. I mean, well, you need to kind of branch out a little bit. I mean, all you ignorant black people all over the world talking about some male-female. I mean, are you crazy? Male with female? Are you crazy? No. Well, sir, out of all due regard, what should a male do? He's got a phallus, and the female has a vagina. Oh, well, I'll tell you what. The white anus is the new black vagina. How about that, boy? Wow. Sir, what are you saying? That's right. And the holy grail of all sexuality, as always, all you dumb, ignorant black people, the holy grail of all sexuality is what? The white female vagina. Black female vaginas are obsolete, boy. Have you heard? And you say, no, I haven't heard that, sir. Well, you just heard it now from me. And when I speak, that's God talking, right, boy? Ha ha ha! Yeah, okay. Let's do a little backslapping here. Let's do a little high five. Wow. You like that? Get on board, all you intellectual black people. We are going to disperse sexuality into thousands of different types of sexuality if we can get you to buy into it, to get you away from what? That black male with that black female. That's what. Because eventually that's what we're going to have to keep doing. We're going to have to make it real uncomfortable for that black female to be around a black male at all and having these little black offspring forever that's making problems for us that we're getting to the place we can't govern. So we got to disperse your sexuality where you will trade in all your sexuality for some fancy bling-bling around your neck, and you got no phallus at all because I cut it out like I did back in the days when I used to hang you black people up on a tree and castrate you. Now I call it not castration, I call it sexual alteration.
Wow.
Don't you want your sex alterated, boy?
Yeah.
Come on in. I can alter your sex, and not only that, there's a bonus that goes with it. If you spread that word around the neighborhood, I'll give you good money. I'll put you in the movies. I'll put you on television.
All right.
I'll give you a spot. And now we'll, since you don't have any idea what to do with yourself, not even your own bodies and whatnot, we'll just draw pictures all over your body and have you flock into that. We'll have you working hard, looking forward to getting enough money together to come into the tattoo parlor. And we will draw pictures. We'll draw designs. We'll draw whatever we imagine all over your body, like we used to do under the elevated tracks or over on some abandoned warehouse, because that's what you are. You are an abandoned warehouse. So I will draw tattoos on you and have you pay for it, because you don't have any idea of what to do with yourself. You're just looking around for somebody to tell you what is valuable, what to do, what not to do. You're looking around for somebody to tell you this, and we have always done the telling, because you don't have any idea of what to do with yourself. So that's what we do with you people. We always have ideas about what we are going to do. You don't have any ideas about what you are going to do when you get your cap and gown and walk out of an institution that I set up for you to get your learning. You have to look to me, and I will always tell you what to do and will always be to my advantage because I'm a white supremacist. That's the way that works. White supremacy takes in 9 areas of activity, and anything that a white supremacist does is to strengthen the system of white supremacy. The system of white supremacy is already an institution. That's just another way of saying the system of white supremacy when you say institutionalized racism. Racism is white supremacy. White supremacy is racism. It's no other form of racism. So that's already in place. So I call it in capital letters the system of white supremacy. And that covers all areas of activity that involve non-white people who are the victims of the system of white supremacy. And those areas of activity are economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. That covers just about everything that everybody is engaged in at any minute of any day, anywhere on the planet, both white people and non-white people. I mean, and all of these areas of activity are interrelated. Religion is associated or interrelated with politics. Politics is interrelated with education. Education is interrelated with economics. Economics is interrelated with religion, and so on and so on and so on. So what the white supremacists did, they looked at the non-white people, the people of color on the planet, and say, we are going to dominate all of these people simultaneously, all of the time, in everything that they do and say. And we are going to figure out a way to not only dominate them, but we are going to mistreat them. Oh. We're not just going to be their bosses.
Okay.
We're going to mistreat them. For what? For fun, for glory, and for material gain.
Okay.
That's what white supremacy is. But the white supremacists will say anything. You will say, well, we have a system of white supremacy in place. This Neely Fuller, he's going around saying that there's a system of white supremacy. And the white supremacists will say, if they think it will work for them, they'll just simply say, Neely Fuller is crazy. There's no such thing as white supremacy. It doesn't exist. It never did exist. He's making it all up. They'll say anything. A white supremacist will say anything that they think that people will believe. They don't care. They use words to do one thing, to strengthen their position that's already in place. Don't kill me, even though I teach you how to do it. Kill your brother and the fellow down the street. And anybody who remotely looks like you. Kill it. Kill it. Harm it. Kick it. Curse it. Write a song about kicking it and killing it and cursing it. And try to get everybody to listen to it. And then go out and do it. And try to get them to do it. And call that our culture. Isn't that wonderful? I wish somebody would copy it. Everybody should be like that. Mass sickness. That's what the system of white supremacy spawns. You have done an excellent job. Even as we speak, it manifests itself all over the world. Get me a 9mm and kill somebody that looks like me. That's what I do. That's the mind of a stone victim. A person who has been completely victimized because their mind has been completely turned upside down, inside out, and then finally just completely oblivious. It's not even a man. Robotized. Niggerized. A thing. Not even remotely resembling a humane person, a human being. all 9 areas of activity. This is what the white supremacists enjoy. They have made the world a cesspool of this nonsense. Some areas of the world, people don't have the sophisticated pistols and rifles, so get a machete. Don't cut bananas off the tree or cut sugar cane. Get a machete and whack off the arm of a black lady who tried to hide from you because you're a rapist. Teach her a lesson. And then walk around and feel proud of yourself.
Shame. Shame.
Strong black male image.
Shame.
We can stop it by becoming a little bit sane in this insane situation that's been produced and refined by the white supremacists. So if you just, all we really have to do is just say, hey, who's behind all of this stuff that's going on? We see what's going on the surface, and we are, you know, chomping at the bit to jump on the black women who are out here, I mean, shaking and doing this and selling themselves and all like that. But wait a minute. They weren't born doing this. So who's really behind this? And I'm always saying, anything that seems like it may be non-constructive that you see black people doing, immediately go to the usual suspects. That's what we do. And that's what I do. I say, wait a minute. This looks like something that the usual suspects has come up with. Almost anything that I see black people are doing has got a question mark on it. It doesn't even have to be something destructive. But if it looks like it might be leading to something destructive, I always say, hey, let's check this out and see what the white supremacists have to do with this. Or if there are some white supremacists that have to do with it. Because the assumption should always be that anything that you see black people doing that may have a question mark behind it, always suspect that it's a plot by the white supremacists and be willing to say so to the whole world. Always say, you know, and the term that you actually use exact terms, say the usual suspects, just like in the movie Casablanca. Say, hey, this looks like something concocted by the usual suspects. But they'll say, what are you talking about, fella? Who are the usual suspects? The white supremacists. It looks like another one of their schemes. Oh, yeah, but you don't have any proof of that and all that. I'm saying I suspect it. I don't have the proof, no. But I suspect it because it could be something destructive. Yeah, but it hasn't proven to be destructive so far. Yeah, so far, but I don't know what's going to happen when we turn around the corner. You know, the usual suspects always throw out some bait, just like catching a fish. They always throw black people something that looks like it's good on the surface.
Right.
And then 50 years later, it turns out to be something that's totally poisonous. And now we're 50 years behind wrestling with that poison. Anytime they come down the pike, you should have one thing in mind. We're talking about what to do about things now. When I see them coming, this is a part of the code. When you see people coming, I'm not talking about all white people, but when you see white people approaching you with anything, any kind of new fad, anything, any kind of something that's going to help you, always have in your mind, here they come, what are they up to now? That should be on every black person's lips on the entire planet. Here they come again. What are they up to now? That should be your mindset.
Right.
Now, you'll have white people who say, oh, that's a terrible attitude to have. No, it isn't. Because if you're coming there to do something that's going to be constructive, we should be the first, after it's proven to be constructive, after we're running through every type of test, and we've seen, hey, this is really constructive. Hey, we should be the first to stand up and say, hey, we were suspicious of you, but that suspicion is gone because you have proven yourself to come with a constructive intent. White supremacy is not something you run into every now and then. Racism is not something that you encounter every now and then on a job. The whole job is racist. But I'm saying a person will say, you know, I ran into some racists on the job the other day. I think there's some racism going on in that place where I work. Racism is the job. The whole thing is racist because the whole world is racist. There's nothing on this planet that's going on that is not racist. By racist, I mean what? That is not being orchestrated either directly or indirectly by those white people. Here again, I want to emphasize, not all white people. I never said that, but it's being conducted by those white people who have perfected the institution of white supremacy. That was a choice, and it took them quite a while to get it together, but when they did, it turned out to be the greatest political and religious force that the world has ever known. There's no religious system on this planet right now that's stronger than the religion of white supremacy. I want to repeat that. There's no religion anywhere on this planet. I don't care if you mention Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Sokogakia, Mormonism. I don't care what ism you come up with. When the white supremacists speak, everybody jumps. That's what you go by. When they speak, everybody jumps. Everybody falls in line. Everybody starts running. They're trying to get their babies in their arms and running across the desert. And they're reciting their religious creeds and all like that. But they are running from the white supremacists if the white supremacist says, you better run, because I will put a hurting on you. Yes, there is a God somewhere, but I'm your God, and you will obey me. That's the white supremacist creed. If you have dark skin, you will obey me. I don't care who you pray to. I don't care who you clap your hands to. I don't care how many hosannas you sing in your elaborate churches. When I step in that church and say, everybody out of here, you better get out of there. You better get out of there, and you know it. And you know it not by Neely Fuller telling you this, but by your own experience. In fact, you can't even establish a church without my permission. I'm your Roman emperor, and you ain't figured out how to get me out of that position yet, which means I'm smarter than you are, all of you put together, all of you black, brown, red, yellow people on this planet don't have nothing for me, because when I speak, you jump, and that's proof that I'm supreme. And you can talk about all that ancient building the pyramids all you want to, and I will tell you, yeah, have fun. Talk about how you did this and how you did that. But when I tell you to get up out of that chair, you will move. When I tell you to sit down, you will sit in that chair, and you won't move until I say so. And I prove this every day. Neely Fuller doesn't have to tell you. Just get in my face, and you'll find out in about 2 seconds who your God is. And I've always proven this. Now, this is the voice of the people who believe in white supremacy. I've never seen anybody who didn't back down when they decide to get rough. When they really decide to get rough. Now, sometimes people get in their face and say all kinds of things. But it's one thing, if you're intelligent, have a little bit of intelligence, you'll notice the white supremacists don't move until they get ready. There are 9 areas of activity. The 7th area is religion. And economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. The white supremacists, when they got the idea that they were going to establish something called white supremacy, they said we have to dominate these people in all areas of activity, including their religion, particularly their religion, because religion is what? A strong belief backed up by action. That's all any religion is. And the white supremacists said we're going to make white supremacy the strongest religion that has ever existed. They have succeeded in that. They are not in the process of doing that. Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Confucianism, Judaism, all of these other religions don't come anywhere close to being as strong as the religion of white supremacy. A strong belief backed up by action. So people are in complete disarray. Confusion, which is what the white supremacists do. They confuse people. Well, we got them confused. We're working on getting them all confused sexually. But we have long ago got them confused when it came to the seventh area of activity, religion. All of these dark-skinned people around here killing each other, hitting each other over the head with the Bible, having endless barbershop arguments about what Ezekiel meant, or what Solomon did or didn't do, or what Ruth said or didn't say. We got them confused. That's what we do. We take any holy book and we read it, and we thoroughly add to it and subtract from it. And then we distribute pamphlets, or samples of it. That adds to the confusion. With our names on it. And we establish different type of churches and whatnot. Different church on every corner with a different name. Supposed to be the same religion, but we got a different church with a different name. Adding to the confusion. Go over here to the Protestant church. Oh, no, they don't know what they're talking about. Then go over here to the Catholic church. And, oh, no, they don't know what they're talking about. Well, what about Jehovah's Witnesses? Okay, well, we'll sample some of that. And they don't know what they're talking about. And then the white supremacists sit back, well, when it comes to all you dark-skinned people, you got one religion. And that's the religion that I say that you have. But I might say, depending on how I feel, that you will have all of them at once or none of the above. But you will bow down to one religion, and that's the religion of white supremacy. I don't care what you think in your heads, and you black people can argue all you want to in the barbershops over there on the colored side of town, or in your millions of churches. You can scream and yell and stomp and holler, but when the white supremacists walk into your church and say, all of you, get on your knees to me, because I'm the one who feeds you, clothes you, shelters you, and even allows you to have a church on this corner rather than a parking lot. So you will do what I say, or you will feel my wrath. I'm your God, and don't you ever forget it. Well, in answer to the last question, first, no, different white supremacists are very skilled, very adaptable, the most sophisticated ones. They know the white code. So they say, okay, here comes the black guy who, works down on the dock and whatnot, and he likes hip-hop. So, okay, so I'll learn a little bit about hip-hop, and so that way I can talk to him a little bit about him. He'll be relaxed and whatnot, and then I can talk to him about other things.